All right, I'm going to present this particular scoping project, which focuses on water purification. Um, Let me give a background of this project, how we came up with. I work in the area of water and environmental engineering. In my university, at University of Surrey, there is a research center called Center for Environmental and Health Engineering. In this one, basically, we have academics with expertise in the area of water quality monitoring. Is that okay? Yeah. Water quality monitoring. Myself, I'm an engineer by training. I look into different technologies to purify water, to recycle water in different cases. And I came up with this idea discussing with colleagues from Raspberry Laboratory, and one of that colleague, Donna, is here as well. When we exchange our ideas, what we thought that why not adapt some of the STFC facilities and look into if there is a potential of using them into water treatment. And we came up with a proposal, which actually we feel that it's a quite interesting topic. And I personally know that from my own experience in using other technologies for water purification, this is something I have never seen anywhere else. Not that people have not used electron beams for other purposes or in water treatment, but not for the kind of contaminants we were trying to look into. So the idea stems from the facts that we have been discussing this whole morning pretty much, and sorry, the afternoon, and that is basically the requirement of food will be growing in coming decades, and agriculture, whether it's going to be the agriculture as it is or it is going to be more controlled environment agriculture. Probably the topic that I'm concerned with is more relevant to control environment agriculture. But in any case, agriculture sector accounts for a large quantity of water that is required to support it. One of the ideas behind how to deal with this problem is if we can make use of existing water sources which are used, for example, wastewater, and purify them to the standard that they are fit for agri-food sector, and reuse them into different streams in directly agriculture production or different stages of agri-food supply chain. So with this idea, we look into what could be relevance of it. Its relevance is global, basically. There are countries around the world in which water situation is very stressed. The ones in this graph shown red in color, the one yellow in color are going towards the problems, and the ones which are green, they might become yellow in future. So in long term, probably this is relevant to many parts of the world, but currently there are pockets of the areas around the world where this idea of water recycling can be more pressing. So the research question that we were looking into, let's say challenge that we were looking into, is how to make a step change in water reuse in agriculture or agri-food sector in general. The bottleneck for that is basically to have a good understanding, a solid understanding of how purification of certain used water or wastewater works, and how we can bring it to the standard that is fit for agri-food sector. It is very complicated because most of the technologies and solutions that do exist, they do not look into purification wastewater for agri-food purposes. They look into how you can safely discharge into environment, mostly. There are many technologies, but there are challenges with those technologies. The novel methods that people are trying to look into, most of them have problem with their efficiency, sometimes their efficacy, sometimes costs. There are many challenges. The ones we were trying to address was basically efficacy. How quickly you can purify water in a very short period of time, so that you can have single steps of purification, or let's say less steps of purifications. So I will bring very quickly to the experimental work that we did and we tested. In the experimental work, we made use of basically a small system development, a bench scale prototype, very simple prototype. As engineer, I could develop it and give it to our colleagues in Raspberry Lab to play with it, because as a physicist, probably, this is new for them. That is this one. Now we brought this to Raspberry Lab. So inside, this is inside chamber, which is basically radiation proof. So we were not actually standing there while doing experiments. We were somewhere else watching this through the camera. And I will explain about the experimental setup. So broadly, what we were trying to achieve is basically use the compact line facility, which generates electron beams. You can vary the energy, but for our purposes, we did not vary too much into the property of electron beam as such, because we wanted to focus more on its efficacy in water purification. So we prepare representative samples representing different degree of pollution into the water, mainly two types to begin with, and we expose those samples to electron beam, and through time we observe what properties will change, particularly focusing on a wide range of organic compounds that are present in polluted waters. So this is how it was working. So looking into the electron beam source, this is the one which fires the electron beam in this direction. So this is the water sample, and this system is designed to recirculate this water so that it continuously exposes to electron beam. And this metal sheet is just basically a discharge sheet. If there are electrons which have escaped the sample or they are diffused, they will basically they will make the area safe by capturing the electron, because this is connected to the earth. More closely looking at, this is the system, and this is how it works. Let's see if it works. So it looks like this. I can't play this video. So basically what it is doing is, in this system, there is a little pump which is pumping water from this base and bringing it to top, and then water falls, it gets exposed to the electron beam, and slightly better quality water falls again. So through the time we can see the change in the property of water. I will show the results, and then you will see how it looks like. So water sample 1. So first type of water sample that was that you can see, this one, it is dirty water derived from, let's say, it represents textile company polluted water. So there is a, let's say, a small river stream which is polluted by textile. That is how it resembles, and we know what it is in there. Mostly it's particular dye called methanyl blue, and we are looking into how its concentration changes with time when it is exposed to electron beam. So basically this is in 3 minutes, this is in 33 minutes. We have looked into other things in University of Surrey. This can be achieved, similar, not exact chemical reactions happening in the system, but similar reaction can be triggered by other processes, but it will not happen in that short duration. It takes much longer time because reaction rate is very slow to bring from here to here. While in this case, we observe it happens within 3 minutes, which is very encouraging. The second wastewater sample that we used, we tried to make it worst case scenario. This type of water basically is something that contains a wide range of very complex organic compounds, for example, representing crude oil, representing pharmaceutical companies, representing all sorts of pollutants that you can imagine in one place, and exposing it to electron beam. This is sample in 3 minutes. This is sample in 63 minutes. It took longer to basically degrade most of those compounds in terms of if you can look into the time required for purification. But in terms of efficiency, it did work, and it did purify a lot of organic compounds. So results showed in the first one and in second one that exposure of electrons to these water samples basically triggers certain chemical reactions, and in a very short period of time, very recalcitrant compounds can be broken down into very small molecules, and in most cases, if it's organic, into carbon dioxide. So what study we are doing at this stage is basically looking into when we use this type of water purified at different stages, expose different seeds, for example, vegetable seeds, and see how vegetables can grow through exposure of these polluted water up to different degrees, and what sort of accumulation that happens into leaves, into roots, and whether it basically has any impact on growth of the root or growth on the leaves. So this is where we are, and we got excited with some of these results, and we found that overall that most of these vegetables basically they grow very fine if you use purified water that we did from our treatment. There is a lot to be done, but this is where we are. These are people that did the work. Thank you very much.